of the world. Headed by a constitutional monarch, governed by parliamentary democracy, where general elections are held every 5 years. The country enjoys decades of stability with the benefits of a broad-based economy powered by the private sector and a pro-business government. It's always summer in Malaysia, a country blessed with abundant natural resources and more. While rapidly developing, we continue to preserve our land, environment, heritage and values. They are all here in Malaysia, a country of many colors, races and cultures. Selamat datang. Welcome to Malaysia. Malaysia has transformed from a country dependent on agriculture and primary commodities to an export-driven economy, spurred by high technology, knowledge-based and capital-intensive industries toward a high-income nation. Many international corporations have made Malaysia their highly competitive offshore base. To date, more than 5,000 international companies from over 80 countries have established their regional and global operations in Malaysia. Companies in the manufacturing and services sectors continue to expand and diversify their operations. The combination of a stable political environment and a government that is responsive to private sector needs and supports and facilitates business. Malaysia's developed infrastructure has provided the requisite competitiveness to the business community. The Kuala Lumpur International Airports provide excellent facilities. The airports can accommodate up to 70 million passengers. And more than 12 million tons of cargo per year. In addition, 6 other international airports are strategically located to serve the regional needs. And the 7 major ports ensure the efficient movement of cargo as well as facilitate international trade. The improved rail system and the network of expressways ensure easy access to and from airports, seaports and urban centers. The government ensures that energy needs are adequately met, while broadcasting and telecommunications requirements are being served by the latest digital and fiber optics technology. For banking and financial services, local and foreign banks offer comprehensive and competitive packages. $11 million trainable and educated Malaysians support industry and trade, and annually about 250,000 young Malaysians enter the workforce. Many English language-based colleges, universities, technical and vocational institutions ensure the continuous supply of manpower needs. Malaysia's geographical location makes the country a strategic base for exports to the Asia-Pacific markets. Malaysia provides access to not only the ASEAN market, with a population of 600 million, but to a market of more than 3 billion people created by the various trading arrangements with the world's most vibrant nations. Living in Malaysia. But doing business in Malaysia is not all work. The country offers good living in the midst of a clean and green environment. modern housing, international schools, healthcare of international standards. Add to that the warmth and hospitality of Malaysians. Things to do during leisure. Great food everywhere. Fun places to be. Make Malaysia a home away from home. Selamat datang. Welcome to Malaysia, your profit center in Asia.
Some people are calling this the new normal, but there's nothing normal about it. As the world's businesses begin to reopen, the question is, what can we learn from this? Perhaps today isn't a restart, it's a rethink. A time to take the things that are working and apply them to the new jobs that need to get done. Today, businesses are staying open in a world that feels closed. With the IBM Cloud, retailers can keep systems up as millions of orders move online. Data is being protected against new security risks. So at leading hospitals, private information can stay private, even while doctors are caring for patients from home. Businesses are being more responsive. With the help of scalable solutions on the IBM Cloud, financial advisors can process bank transfers remotely, securely. Today, supply chains are getting more intelligent, helping ship our produce, stock our stores, and fill our tables. Remote work is working smarter with IBM Watson, helping employees stay more productive and making parents even more proud. Customers are getting answers faster. With Watson Assistant, wait times are being cut from hours down to minutes, and companies are managing millions of calls, texts, and chats. Today, we are speeding our research and our recovery with help from all the developers who are answering the call. Today, we are rethinking how business moves forward, how the world moves forward. So let's get to it. Let's put smart to work.
Certainty for where it's most vital. That's the promise of EcoStruxure Microdata Center from Schneider Electric. The support you need when there's no room for downtime.
everyone. Good morning to all of you, and thanks for tuning in. It's me again, Myra, from Star Media Group's award-winning Rage investigative journalism team. We hope you have enjoyed the session yesterday or the opening session on Tuesday or both. If today is your first session, welcome to Star Media Group CXO 2020. I'm your host for this 4-day live virtual conference, and we hope you, your family, and friends continue to stay well, innovative, and disruptive as we progress into the next normal. For all of you who are currently watching this program on WebEx, Facebook, and YouTube, thank you for joining us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here comes one of my most favorite parts of the program, which is the announcement of the special prize draw winners of yesterday's session. You heard it right. For those who have just joined us, all you need to do is to join us here on WebEx and stay with us till the end of the program each day, and you will stand a chance to win these exciting prizes. Now, let's see who are the winners of yesterday's session. So the first is, we're going to be giving away the Skull Candy Wireless, and it will be to Sri Azalina. And then we have the Google Home Mini, which will be given to Dr. Ravindran Palaniappan. And the Sony portable Bluetooth speakers will be given to Danny Cheng. And the Razer Hammerhead wireless earbuds is going to Jessica Lim. Yay! Silent claps for everyone. Know that we're clapping for you from home. Congratulations to all the winners. Our events crew will be contacting you separately at the end of the CXO 2020 tomorrow afternoon at your registered email or mobile number to make arrangements. Okay, are you guys excited to kickstart today's program? I am definitely excited because today it's going to be a little bit more about marketing. So first thing I wanted to ask you is, do you know that the application is overrated? Today, consumers drive the market. According to a Kantar survey, 79% of consumers want businesses to demonstrate that they care about them before they decide on purchasing their products. So we will be having our first keynote speaker talk about that. There will also be a special presentation by TNG Digital, followed with a panel discussion where a panel of renowned industry marketers will be sharing their marketing cheat sheet in building customer trust in their brand. To learn more about the conference program and our speaker's profile, you may scan the QR code on the top right of your screen or visit bit.ly/STARCXO 2020. Before we move on, a few housekeeping matters. Firstly, please be patient if you experience any technical glitches. This is a live online event and everyone dials in from different internet bandwidths and devices. For WebEx participants, your microphone and video cam are turned off by default, but you can chat with our events crew directly if you need any assistance, or email us at events@thestar.com.my. If you have any questions for our speakers, please post it in the chat box below, or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, in the comment section below. Lastly, and most importantly, please remember to engage, learn, and enjoy. It gives me great honor to introduce our Day 3 keynote speaker. He is a customer experience advocate and a true believer of design thinking. Alan Cheong brings with him over 20 years of industry experience. He has worked with clients from both the public and private sectors, where he is responsible for developing and activating CX strategy and CX engagement programs. In his keynote, Alan will share with us why and how redesigned customer experience, where CX meets brand love, can create an exceptional and memorable moment for customers. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, Mr. Alan Cheong.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Myra, for that wonderful introduction and the lively, atmosphere that you created to start the Day 3. My name is Alan, and I'm from Kantar, Malaysia, and a great honor for me to be here today for this event. And as Myra has mentioned earlier, I'll be sharing some of the insights that we have in the age of disruption now. Customer is really the focus moving forward. And we live in an age of experience, right? From buying of groceries, going on holiday, your wedding ceremony, seeing a doctor in a clinic or hospitals. Consumer customers are seeking the experience for the money that they spend. And as mentioned, today I'll be sharing some thoughts with you on how customer experience continue and have to be the key focus for brands, especially now where disruption is becoming unpredictable, or should I say predictable. In an internal study that we have done globally, we have interviewed the CEOs of various companies and brands, and 80% of them believes that their brand actually deliver a superior customer experience. But however, on the flip side, when we ask their customer or consumer the same questions, only 8% of them felt that they are truly a customer experience brand. Why is the gap? And also, we all know that today is so different from 10 years ago or 15 years or even 20 years ago. People today prefer spending money on experience rather than material things. Experience spends is like growing at 60%. And of course, with millennials, they say that they prefer to spend money on experience over material things. And we can see that there's a huge change in terms of the experience gain that the consumer nowadays are looking at, especially talking about millennials, where they will be the next generation, right? Or the current generation moving on to the next generation. So is experience everything? Something to think about. I would pause it for a while here, come back later. I know we are in a crisis right now. Everyone is talking about COVID-19, and some of us is really wanted to get over this crisis soon, but nobody knows that. But COVID-19 has changed the world dramatically, both in professional and private contexts. Everyday life, as was still possible at the end of last year, come to a complete standstill. Even financially stable companies suddenly stopped thinking about profit margin, growth, sustainability, and started fighting for economic survival. From an internal study that we have done, 3 out of 4 respondents says that the COVID-19 crisis has a significant impact on their daily lives. People no longer worry about their next holiday, destination, or how many trips the vacations budgets allow. They also no longer wonder which concert party they will go to next, or which evening they will meet with friends. Teams and experience have changed. How children and home office can be brought together at the same time. Now the question is whether which streaming services deliver the best program, which supermarket has the most comprehensive range of services to enable them to go shopping as quickly and safely as possible. People try to bake and sew at home, learning new things at home. And my wife started to bake during this period of time at home, and there's something that I didn't know about her. Or try new experiments in the garden or in the balcony, right? We can observe that the importance of experience does not decrease, but it only changes, right? And COVID-19 has disrupted our personal and working life. Many of us, or many of you, are attending this event from home, for example. I remember when Star Media first approached us for this event. It's supposed to be in March, April period. But because, again, of COVID-19, how kudos to Star Media, how they have quickly innovate the whole event, and now we can bring it to you live at the comfort of home or in front of a screen. We are schooling our children at home. We are practicing social distancing. Many of us try to stay home as much as possible. COVID-19 has fundamentally changed how we live our life. Through our Kanta COVID-19 barometer, it shows that people are feeling very concerned about the situation at the moment. 87% of Malaysians feel that the virus situation is a huge concern. However, we are also very optimistic. 37% of Malaysians believe that Malaysia's economy will recover quickly, which is higher than those in the advanced economy countries. Then heightened emotions are a byproduct of the stress that COVID-19 has on people. Business needs to be aware that this is a time when long-lasting memories will be made. Customers will remember brands that show humanity, that took care of their employees, that make efforts to help the society. Customer won't remember business that did nothing, and they will have negative memories of those that were exploitative, but profit before people who acted only in their self-interest. To create long-lasting goodwill, business must act on a strategy to help people. But what is important now for brands? How do you act? How do you make sure that you are acting and not reacting? Customer centricity acts as a semantic stabilizer, re-fencing brands from major economic and societal disruption. While some things will go, with time, will go back to the way they were previously before the crisis, we all know that many things will not. So companies adapt and innovate now will have a competitive advantage in the future. Being agile, responsive to customer needs now creates capability to adapt and compete effectively in the post-COVID-19 environment. So how do companies position their branding during the time of crisis? Our COVID-19 Malaysian study shows that exploitation of the crisis is not something a brand should do. Malaysians appreciate brands that showcase how helpful they are in giving helping hands and offer positive perspective to lighten up the gloomy scenarios. We will talk more about this, and I'll share a little bit more on showing customer care and, of course, how positive engagement can achieve through caring initiative that brands launch. And those brands that have achieved customer centricity, we see the payoff. Our latest global figures shows that true customer-centric brands achieve high preference. It is clear that negative customer experience led to very little preference, but also being in the middle or neutral ground is not sufficient to create that preference for your brand. So being customer-centric in a crisis is not about doing the same thing in a different way, such as replicating and assisting customer journey on a different channel. We have to start with the customer aspirations, dreams, emotions, and then we work backwards and reimagine the experience to meet those needs. There's no better time to take advantage of the opportunity brought upon by COVID-19 to not only reimagine your customer experience. First of all, for many brands, there's a need to redesign customer journey. One of the most immediate and logical outcomes of the crisis was that customers are changing their purchase journey to online. And brands have to respond to this quickly, adapt their ordering and delivering process. But not all brands are prepared for this shift. When we ask retail customers globally about their experience of online shopping, only 20% states that grocery brand is providing an excellent experience. Any operational response needs to take into account new customer mission. A customer doesn't ring a call center just because they want to speak to a service agent, because they have an issue that they want to solve. In many cases, not only functional, but an emotional mission, sharing their frustrations and feelings, and being appreciated as a customer. There are new emotional needs as a result of the crisis. Example, health, safety, and reassurance. And often, there are now more and different journey steps with bigger danger of customer abandoning the journey at a certain point when they are interacting with you and your brand. Looking at one example from grocery company, the customer mission, we can see on the slide, this is a typical, a very simplified customer journey maps. The customer mission, she wants to achieve a different one. It is not only about buying food, so the functional mission, but also how to stay safe, the emotional mission. And in this journey, the customer expectations were disrupted several times, as you can see. The initial search was not optimal. The customer then pick a shop, fill the virtual shopping, the virtual shopping basket, and then inform that there's no delivery slot available, that led to a decision to abandon the website, for example. In the next try, they did go through, but found the registration process payment too complicated, for example. And again, pick a different shop. And while the delivery worked in the end, the experience was fairly neutral, if you ask me. And every journey steps, what the customer feel, has a huge impact on their decision. For customer experience management, the challenge is therefore not only to understand how customers evaluate the overall experience of a shopping at their online stores, as you will invariably only get those have managed to successfully navigate, but also at which steps you need to scrutinize the journeys are interrupted. But there are also many positive examples on how brands have responded to new customer demands, and I'll share with you in the next few slides. Reimagining customer journey also require the brands to look internally, not just at the customer, but internally, at the various channels and transactions that they have to interact with the customers. What are the behavioral changes from the customers that drive an increase in a certain channels, for example? I mentioned briefly, because of the crisis situation right now, it's been driving online sales for many of the brands. And are the channels and the brands ready for the change? Will customers still get the seamless experience across the channel? Sharing with you some example. On the left of the screen, you see that it's actually a grocery in the States. This is actually a small grocery in a small town in the States where there are a lot of, the segments of the populations are more the older folks. I always say the older folks, yeah. So because of COVID and the lockdown and stuff, so they already had the online channel, but they reacted very quickly. They had zoomed in about using data to identify which are the households that have the older generation folks, and they prioritize that as top. And personally, their staff deliver the grocery ordered from this home to the homes themselves. Of course, the other families, they will still go through their normal delivery channels. And because the focus on this company, on this groceries companies, is delivering it to the older folks as quickly as they can. And on the right, you see a Chinese cosmetic company was forced to close their stores. And again, it's because of COVID. They have since empowered their beauty advisor to become online beauty advisors, engaging with customers through social media channels. And at the end, they saw the returns increase in sales growth. This shows that reaction to the crisis are not only about replicating an existing customer journey in a digital channel. There's a strong need to address the new customer mission. If customers don't have the opportunity to shop online or even do still want to look for products before purchasing, what can we do to meet that needs? And in the case of the Chinese cosmetic company, the company mission is not only to buy the customer mission is not only to buy a piece of cosmetic, but to look beautiful, to feel well, and especially in a time of great uncertainty. Another example, a positive example, this is a insurance company. The insurers already had a presence in the online channel, but they wish to better support customers with their questions and to advance the sales processes. So what they did was, the insurers actually enable a one-stop service solution where their trained agent can manage customers that contacted via phone, email, chat, or even they call back. This platform also integrate front and back office, not just front-facing, but also the back office, providing single system access for quotes, underwriting, sales, premium processing, as well as customer service. And as you can see, the impact, and it has we have seen that this has led to a 98% satisfaction of the customers, and of course 20% higher in terms of policy per sales, and of course obviously the growth in the sales numbers. Well, so far I've talked about what brands can do in terms of from customer perspective. But if you look at this slide, truly well said by Sir Richard Branson, take care of your employees and they will take care of your customers. It's as simple as that, right? Customer centricity is not just about your customer. Your staff are just as equally important. New report shows most people are more likely to buy from company that shows flexibility and empathy towards employees. Even as companies scramble to stay afloat and consumers change their spending habits, employee treatments impact brand favorability. 90% of respondents says that it is important to them that brands take care of their employees and treat them well, even in tough times. That equals to the share who said having products and the need in stock was important. In addition to brand image, a company treatments of employees also impact purchasing intent from the consumer. Almost half of the respondents that we asked say that they regard the way companies treat their team members to be one of the top 5 most important considerations when deciding to purchase a product or a service. Just would like to draw your attention to the 2 examples on these slides. On your left, you can see we're all very familiar. Starbucks is a great example of brands that understand the values of their employees bring to the business, whether it's putting a smile on everyone's face or building long-term customer loyalty. Starbucks' focus on its employees has not gone unnoticed. In fact, 87% of customer affinity towards Starbucks is driven by how the company treats its employee. And since day one, they focus on putting employee-friendly policies in place. For example, they support their staff by paying tuitions for universities and online programs. Another perks, all Starbucks staff can earn company shares through their bin stock program. Even their organizational structure is designed to improve employee experience. Starbucks managers refer to their team members as partners instead of employees. This light touch from upper management shows how they want partners to know that they play an important role in the bigger picture, which in turn motivate them to work better. And moving from F&B Starbucks to hospitality, Hyatt Regency is the next example. Hyatt's choice to focus on empathy over perfection put them on an unconventional path towards success in hospitality industries. As its CEO was quoted in Fortune interview saying that the key to Hyatt's success is making sure that we are connected to the emotional experience of our colleagues and guests. Guests are experiencing and then designing the experience so it's fulfilling for them. Instead of using a script, that a lot of service industry has, the SOP, the scripts and stuff when interacting with customers or interacting with guests at the hotel, Hyatt staff are free to be themselves during guest interactions. This creates a very authentic and personalized customer experience and encourage employees to establish an emotional bond and connection with the guests. And I've talked about what brands needs to focus on customers' experience in the time of crisis and moving post-crisis, and as well as it's just it's important to focus on internally your staff experience. The next few examples are some of the brands that we have seen that already started reimagining their customer experience or the journeys even before a crisis, or they are constantly reimagining or restyling or refining the journeys of their customers. What you see here, I think, is pretty recognizable. Is the Apple brand Apple. As the late Steve Jobs always believed, the previous founder of Apple, you always start with the customer and works the technology backwards. It's not the other way. So in Apple, the customer centricity culture has been implanted in everyone since day one. And even in their stores, if you have experience or you have the opportunity to step into a Apple store, I know that Apple Store has not come to Malaysia yet, but when they come or you have the opportunity to visit an Apple Store in overseas, you'll notice that in the Apple Store itself, there are no sales representative. That they won't come to you and push you to buy a product. And all the stuff they're wearing a red, either they're wearing a red T-shirt or a blue T-shirt. They call themselves Apple Genius, right? They are passionate about the brand, they're passionate about the product, they're passionate about customers. And you can spend the whole day there talking to a genius, an Apple genius, on the product, on anything with regards to the brand and the products. And they won't expect you to buy anything. And in the store design, as you can see from the pictures, 2/3 of their stores, of their shop fronts, is allocated to customers for experiential experience. What do I say? What do I mean when I say that? They will display their product in all range and all the different products and range, all colors, for you to feel and touch the product. And also with the interest to know deep more about, you can sign on to courses or a quick lessons on how to even take, for example, photography using the latest iPhone 11, for example. And that makes the experience very different, the journey of the customer very different from Apple. And you can see that although they don't drive the sales within the stores, the experience actually drives the sales themselves. The next example that I've seen myself is in the car industry, and in this case you can tell from, I'm sure you can recognize what brand is this, it's actually BMW. In 2013, 2012, the global CEO actually already started this reimagining journeys, because in this automotive industry, we all know that it's a very competitive industry. And the global CEO decided that we need to do something if we want to stay ahead of the competition, right? So they have launched the global initiative for BMW. This initiative is called Future Retail. You can go online, Google, and type BMW Future Retail, and you can read up on that. And what is this Future Retail all about? As technological advances, we no need to actually go to the showroom to understand about the cars. In fact, I can guarantee that most of us will do our own research on the cars before we even go and visit the showroom. And even when we decide to go and visit the showroom, we have somewhat in our mind, has decided whether to purchase or not to purchase the car already. So which sparks the thinking of, so when the customer steps into the showroom, we need to really capture and close in on the sales for the cars. So if you look at the pictures, they have combined both, digital and analog, right? When I say digital and analog, is that in not so much of the Southeast Asian market, but in the Europe market, 90% or more than 90% of the BMW sold is actually customized. When I say customized, means not just about the color, but also the leather choice, the interior car leather choice, the dashboard styling, the engine type, the rims, the rims that you want on your cars. And once you lock that customization in, then in the factory they will manufacture the car and you will get your car in a month's time or something. But not so much on Southeast Asian market here, because it's pre-made when they ship the car over. So in that experience, the customer, when they enter the showroom, they combine the analog, as you can see on the picture, the physical car, as well as digital. You can actually see the car, rotate the car with different colors on the screen, with different matchings, rims and stuff, and different background. And when I visited their Munich factory, it was quite amazing, because that was like 3 years ago when I visited. They were actually combining VR, AR as well. So there is a station where you can actually sit in and test drive any BMW car in a virtual reality. And that was quite amazing, and you can even choose the background, which city, which countries that you want to do the test drive in, and that was really amazing. During COVID, I believe they might not be the only company that does that, but because of the lockdown and stuff, they provide, they actually drive the cars to your house for you to test drive, or even they do they come to your house and pick up your car and for servicing, bring it back to their workshops for servicing for you. And I think that is truly something that they have continuously to reimagine or to improve the customer journey along the end-to-end journeys. The last example that I want to share with you is actually my own personal examples that touch a bit on employee experience. Now, as you can see, this is Scoot, a budget airlines. This was back in 2013 when me and my wife, we just had our first boy. He's less than a year old. So we decided to take a trip to Hong Kong. And it was quite last minute, so a lot of Hong Kong being a very, very popular destination, not a lot of choice for flights and the kind of timings that we want. So we found the flight that we want, and it's actually a Scoot. So at that point in time, we have not taken any budget airline before, but yeah. So the booking experience was pretty, well, I would say that pleasant. Online, it was pretty easy. And when those of you who are parents and you have the experience before, you know that going on holiday, bringing your child is a real challenge, right? You have all your barang-barang, your pram and stuff. So on the day of departure, we actually went, and when we reached the Aero Bridge, the staff actually approached us. When they see us coming from far, they actually approach us and offer to help with the pram. I was like, oh wow, we didn't expect that from a budget air, right? Yeah. So they help us with the pram. They keep and they assure us. They gave us the reassurance and say that don't worry, we'll take care of a pram for you. And then at the end of the, when you reach your destination, we will make sure that they'll get the pram back for us when we touch down in Hong Kong. And throughout the flight, it's not just particular attendants, it's the attendants that's serving that aisle or that section. They will constantly come and check on us. Do you need anything for your child? Do you need anything for this? Don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need anything. Those kind of things. That actually, as a parent and as a traveler, that actually impacted me in terms of the moments that matters. We call it the experience. Really, make me and my wife really had a very good experience. Not just because it's because of budget air, you don't expect that, but really we didn't expect anything at all, like the kind of the extra mile, the additional steps that the staff actually taking from us. And you can see from the picture they're dressed casual, and I believe that the company has really a focus on the employee experience that leads to the employee taking care of the customers, or in this case the passengers. And that was really a nice experience after that. And we continue to fly with Scoot whenever we can. Yeah. And that brings me to the end of today's sharing, and I hope that I've shared some interesting insights with you. And also, I know you are seeing the Q&A on your screen, but in the interest of time, we appreciate that your questions, but in the interest of time, we will answer just two questions, right? And don't worry, continue to post your questions. We will reply to you via email after this session.
Thank you, Alan. That was really cool. I think the last example is an epitome of what you're trying to achieve as a business, right? You give the customer a good experience, right, and then they talk about it to other people and continue flying with you. So that's amazing. So, okay, the first of the two questions is, the first one is, the internet access in Malaysia is very expensive and very slow as compared to Singapore. How can we solve this issue? That's interesting.
Yeah. I think one of the example that we can see the I mean, there are a lot of examples in terms of telco, and in this case, we're talking about internet access. It's something that it's not just Malaysia, if you ask me, because interestingly, you compare to Singapore because I'm a Singaporean. I came from Singapore. Yes, Singapore internet speed is fast, but okay, maybe it's the nature of Singaporeans that's super demanding and always complaining. But we can see that there's a lot of initiative that's been taken by the telco brands in Malaysia, especially during the time of crisis. They reacted very fast in terms of the bandwidth issues or any issues related to internet access. This is true, and how we know because one of we've worked with in Kantar, we worked with many different telcos in Malaysia, and we saw how they have reacted from their customer needs during this time. And yes, improving the bandwidth is not just the telco sole responsibility, right? I mean, there is a lot of other things that have to be considered. For example, the structural, the bandwidth, the structure, as well as how the whole country has been networked together in terms of the Wi-Fi accessibility. But fret not, I think this year 5G is going to introduce, or next year. So I think that would help to solve a lot of this issue. But to answer the question, yes, the telcos are really putting in their best effort in order to try, especially during this time when bandwidth is something that we are. It's like the next most important thing other than your handphone or your mobile phone. Right.
Thank you. That was a really hard question for you to answer. How to fix internet connectivity. Thank you for your answer. We have another question. How can we make the online shopping experience be as good as physical retail? Humans generally still prefer to have the 5 basic senses: touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste.
Yeah, that's another tough one. Maybe let me just throw the question back to Mark. I mean, during the last few months, have you tried to purchase something online, and what was your experience? Now, sharing my own experience again, I never liked online shopping. Why? Especially in fashion. I have very bad experience. I bought shoes, I bought t-shirts, I bought shirts and stuff, but when they came as a different size, and it doesn't really fit me on, I still like to go and try. And so one of the initiative that I really like and the brands that I saw is that to solve that issue, they actually recognize that problem or that pain points from consumer. So what they did was, throughout the country, in the region that they operate, they actually had periodically pop-up stores near their targeted segment area for people like you and me to go to the pop-up stores and try on the sizes. And then when you go back home, then you can safely, be assured that, okay, this size 24 is the correct size for me. And then you click and buy from home. And the pop-up store concept is great because it's like, in the interest of time, I no need to go to a shopping mall, or it's convenient for me along the way back home. I can just try on the size. I know, okay, this brand, this size 24 is my size. When I buy from this brand, I will remember to click size 24, and that fits me. So that is, I mean, there's a lot of innovative way that that brands can think of to really answer to the needs, for the consumer. So that's one of the example that I personally see that I felt to actually reassure my previous negative experience of buying online, especially retail fashion.
That's a really, really cool example, actually, because I guess when people think about online shopping experience, they think about fixing it online, but your example was for pop-up stores, right? Which is an innovative way for people to also try on the sizes. That's a really, really good example. Okay, so We have more questions, but unfortunately we can't address them. But we will address them in the future. So keep asking questions, and then we'll respond to it at a later time. I am so happy to have been able to hear, as a person who's also studied experience, it's really, really nice to hear someone talk about it and bring up all these examples from different businesses that you can look at and learn from and adapt for your own business. So thank you so much for that. I'm about to go over to that area and introduce the next section. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Alan, and see you again for the panel session.
Thank you. It's been a great experience for me today and doing this virtually. And thank you so much, Star Media, for inviting us over. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Great honor to have been able to hear that and listen to that and also interact with you. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, it has an extensive 16-year background in various industries. Isra Izzuddin is currently the Director of Marketing and Communications at TNG National. She created her passion for turning brands around strategically to consistently match the current market and consumer needs. Isra has won numerous awards, including Gold Award for Best Marketer in Travel and Hospitality in 2017 and 18, Women in Leadership Award 2019, Young Achiever Award 2019, CMO Award winner 2018, and more. Today, Israel will be enlightening us that disruption isn't the only answer. Businesses must tap into markets' moods to meet the consumers' wants and needs. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Isra Izzuddin.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Isra Izzuddin from TNG Digital. So I'm here today to talk about, obviously, disruption, but how does it work, and will it work, and will people care about it, right? So first of all, thank you very much for being here together with everybody. And thanks to the STARS team for inviting me and for having me the opportunity to speak today. And thanks to my girl Amelia to arrange everything for me. Without further ado, so I would like to proceed with the presentation. So I would like to share. So it's not anything that is very formal, not something that is too smart to understand. It's just going to be a story sharing and as well as some case studies. And I'll try to make it very simple and relevant. So I'll talk about it more in the end of the presentation. So like how being relevant and being simple, yet make it a big deal. Okay, so everybody thinks about do things differently, but yep. So this visual, as you can see here, is very simple. But how simple can it be, right? So there's a guy over there, and there's a couple on the right. So the guy there is your brand. And the couple is obviously your consumer, and the boyfriend is actually another brand. So how does it work here? So again, how do you want to disrupt? Do you really want to disrupt, or you want to keep it as it is, or you want to steal the consumer? So something that you don't see here is actually time, because time is very important. So hence why I don't put it here, because I'll go through the best timing and the best time to actually disrupt the market and steal the girlfriend. So looking at the single guy standing over there, right? So he is trying to get the girl, and the girl has a boyfriend. So I hope you understand the story here. Do you really need to spend a lot of money to get the girl? Does she even care about your money? Or do you need to change your color and be brave, become somebody that is very red and go straight to her and say, hey, I want you. I don't care that you have a boyfriend. Or you want to change your personality, or change your color, change your style, become a bit cooler, and hey, I'm different now because I want to suit your needs. Do you do that? Or do you even want to show that you actually care about what they want? Show that you love them, show that you care for them, and show them that, hey, I know what you need. But the best point here is, again, it's timing. So you can do with the money, you can be brave enough, you can change your way, you can change yourself, and you can show them that you care. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that, or you can agree with me or you can disagree with me, that many relationships fail because of timing. So assuming that I have a boyfriend, but I'm actually married, let's just assume that I'm single. A guy wants to get me, but my relationship is fine. One day, he knows that my relationship is in a big trouble. So that's the best time for him to come and woo me. And he doesn't need to spend a lot of money. He doesn't need to disrupt. But all he needs to do is just to show that, hey, he can't take care of you. I can take care of you. I can give you what you want. Right? Okay, so again, I want to disrupt. So what do you really understand when you say I want to disrupt the market? So number one is you need to understand. Number two, you need to know when is the best time. Number three, you need to know your audience. What do they need? Do they really care? Or do they even know what you want to do with them, right? Okay. Yep, be different but relevant. Let's see some of these examples. This is Malaysia, right? Because I'm not going to talk about some brands in the States or in the UK or in any other countries, because we want to make things very relevant to us, yet very simple. So this is a Malaysian flag. Everyone knows this. We all Malaysians know our flag. But at times, you see this flag has been transformed into a different shape. So you see a round shape, you see this some kind of creative shape, and then you see that thumbprint. But at the end of the day, you see one. They are all in different shapes, but you see one. That is Malaysian flag. You can relate. You see any of those, is Malaysian flag, right? Okay, so talking about Malaysia, right? So let's see some of the stories, some of the very simple stories that happen in Malaysia. So what happened in Malaysia? AirAsia, I was there. But this happened when I already left the company, obviously. So, yep, let's see what happened. So they actually did this. And they said that that's a new Malaysia Airlines uniform. So they wanted to paint the town blue. They did that, but let's see why did they did that. And that was a fake news, by the way. So this came out in the news. AirAsia sudah jadi warna biru. Why? And don't make AirAsia crew political stooges, says Nufam. So again, as much as they wanted to disrupt the market, they got themselves into a big trouble because they went against their SOP. So when the cabin crew signed their offer letter, they could not make any changes to any of their branding, any of their uniforms, any of their colors. But you know why they did this, right? So it's political. So it's a political disruption. Next, Firefly. I was there too. So let's see what happened at Firefly. Everyone knows that the color is orange, the logo is orange, and Firefly's aircraft is orange and white, but the corporate color is orange. And then they did this. green, but without explaining why. And suddenly they came up with this, we are no longer orange. So, and they didn't explain to anybody whatever happened, but they changed every orange on their website, app, and everything in green, right? So, really? They really changed the color to orange, to green? And then they explain why. So at that time, while everybody was so busy doing something else, they came into the picture and disrupted and said that we are now green. Why? Because we support Go Green. And it was during the World Environment Day. So and then they explained by doing this campaign. So ATR 72500, the turboprop, is actually a very green airline. They talk about sustainability, and they talk about being the first airline to recycle drinks cartons, as well as they did some on-board campaigns. So I've got, when I was there, so I did this campaign, right? So when I was there, I got so many calls from the media friends, from ex-colleagues, even my ex-boss. So everybody was like, what the heck are you doing? What are you thinking? Why did they change the color? So, and then even the Malaysia Airlines Group CEO called me and asked, what happened? Why do you change the color? And then after they found out why, they set up a meeting with everybody, Malaysia Aviation Group, Mars Wings, Malaysia Airlines, Firefly, Mars Cargo, and Amal. So he started to instruct everybody to go green and to talk about sustainability. So it worked. And it was relevant to the market, and it's very simple, and I can tell you it was done at no cost. And it was an intentional disruption. Nando's, everybody knows Nando's and their creative marketing campaigns, their catchy, their naughty campaigns. So let's see what they did. So what you can see here, right? So it was a reaction to another brand. I'm not going to mention that brand, but it was due to this, right? So, and Nando's was saying that, no, our burgers won't become like that. It will be gone in 3 to 4 minutes. And they made use of their peri-peri flavor. So it was during the election season, and as well as some other situational stuff that they did. So it's basically, it's very simple, and they do right on their brand, they do right on the sauces, they do right on their products. At the end of the day, it's very clear, and this is what they said. Be relevant and topical, but know your limits. They do know their limits. And this is a social disruption, because they made everybody talk about it. Okay, now I'm with Touch and Go e-wallet, right? So let's talk about what we did recently. COVID-19 happened. So it was a big, big thing, right? So this pandemic affected everybody. People losing their jobs, people had to stay at home, losing their daily activities. So, depression happens and stuff like that. But again, this is our Prime Minister. So he said something that made everybody laugh. So, everybody did a video using his script on TV. And then everybody, like the frontliners, the people out there, asking every Malaysian to stay at home, right? So this is our logo, Touch and Go e-wallet. And when he said this, duduk diam-diam di rumah, it became big. It's a very simple sentence, duduk diam-diam di rumah, just like what your mother would say. And then what we did was this. We didn't change much. From this logo, everybody understands that we are encouraging people to stay at home. So the logo has been placed, parked, put in a house to show that it's very simple. We are telling people, stay at home, be a good Malaysian. So some of the, not really a disruption, but some of the things that we did to support the mini disruption that we did, according to the whatever logo that we actually came up with, staying at home. So knowing that we make it relevant to the society, that we want everybody to go cashless, contactless is safe, right? So whatever that offline promotions that we have been doing, we swap, we switch, we pivot. So we did online. We asked them to stay at home, but how? I need to go out and get my groceries. I need to go out and get my stuff. I need to go out and, take some money, but no need. you use Touch and Go e-wallet, you stay at home, you get things delivered to you. At the end of the day, you duduk diam-diam di rumah. You stay at home. So that's what we did. So this was situational disruption. Very simple, no cost. We didn't spend any money for that. So again, gimmicks and shaking things up are cool, but are they ready? Will they accept it? So when I say they, there are two segments that we are talking about here. Yeah, do they even care? One is your business. The other one is your customers, right? So before you even do any disruptions or before you even do anything to the market, right, you want the market to react. You want the market to say something or to do something based on your disruption ideas, activities, or campaigns. But is your team ready? Is your business ready? Are your people there? Do they understand? What do they need to do? Do they understand what kind of disruption is this? And do they even know why are we doing this, right? So in the first place, when the management says we need to create something, we need to be like, thinking something that is out of the box, but do they understand? Are they even ready to create? And then we need to innovate in, to come up with something that is maybe to stand out or something that is very relevant. And then we need to sell. Selling means it's not just selling your products, but you need to sell the reasons why you're doing this. Is it a gimmick or is it relevant to the market? And as for the consumers, will they need it? You can do whatever you want, you can do. You can spend millions of money, you can do a lot of things, you can change it, you can change that, you can offer this, you can offer that. But will they need it? And will they accept it? Right? So at the end of the day, think about it again. All your people in the company, all of the employees in the company, they are the real consumers. So they will put themselves in the consumer's shoes because as for me, I do market the product, but I'm a consumer. Will I use the product in the first place, right? Even before I create something, even before I disrupt the market, I need to understand and put myself as a consumer because I can do a lot of things. So I'm always stuck, and I think all marketeers will be feeling this as well because do we want to do this? Do we want to do something great, a gimmick, something that will stand out? Or putting ourselves as a consumer and will we buy it? Will we get the idea of all this, right? Again, innovation. Is it the right thing to do? Or you just stick to whatever you have? Or you just enhance the things that you already have, to meet more needs? And then you do some kind of pivoting and react based on situation. And then, or you launch new products because my competitions are not doing anything and I must launch something new. Do you really need to do that? Or you are launching new products because the consumers need something new, or you want to offer more than what you already have now? So this is a hint that we are actually launching new products that will meet consumers' needs, but nothing that is going to be like, bombastic, but it will meet the consumer's need. Satisfaction. Will they satisfy? Will your people feel satisfied by doing something new or by giving back to the consumers? And at the end of the day is, hang on, I can't, okay. Will the needs be covered? So again, do you want to do the gimmick or do you want to be relevant? Okay? Yep. So in short, your people are consumers. Your employees, the people, the product team, the marketing team, the audit team, the finance team, the compliance guys, the sales guys, they are consumers. Like it or not, they are. But they speak to consumers. So this is a scene of somebody that is driving on the road. So that's a driver, that's a road, and obviously that driver is in a car. Is going towards somewhere, he knows his destination maybe. But we as the product provider, as a marketer, or as a business, we innovate the models and specs of the car. And then we provide the colors because I might like blue, I might like red, I might like green, I might like gray, right? and then we set the price. Setting the price, you need to know your consumers. Can they afford? Or do they really want to have a great car, even though they don't have a lot of money, but they just want to have it. They just want to be like, hey, I'm one of you guys, right? And then we complete their needs. So again, consumers are the drivers and they know their destination. No matter how much or how great you're doing with your products, and no matter how great the car is, at the end of the day, they will drive the car and they know the destination. If I'm going to KLCC, I know I'm going to KLCC. I don't care about the car that I'm driving as long as I get there. So disrupt but be relevant, make innovation simple, yet a big deal. So you don't have to do something that is so great or do a gimmick. You can, but at the end of the day, will people care? Is it a big deal? Or will people do something about it? Or they will just ignore you? Right? So again, so this is a wrap up to my presentation. As you can see, it's a very simple deck, but I hope it's relevant to everybody. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for that. So I think you make an interesting point, right? Don't be innovative for innovative's sake. Just make sure that it's relevant and also it's going to actually benefit your business.
Yep.
Okay, that's really cool. So I think we have a few questions. We have 4 questions. Okay, cool. So here are some of the questions which I shall be waiting to come on the screen. Oh, no questions? Oh, okay. Sorry. I think we were very dazzled with the presentation.
It's okay. I have the time for you all. It's okay.
Thank you. Okay. So first question. Oh, hi Isra. What approaches can marketers adopt to be catchy? A question by Gary.
Oh, okay. Hi, Gary. Thanks for shouting the question. So again, as a marketer and as marketers, we all like catchy stuff. We all like naughty stuff. You know, we have done naughty stuff, catchy stuff. I've done it. You have done it. But again, what approaches can marketers adopt to be catchy? Again, you can be catchy, but will something catchy relate to your consumers? At the end of the day, you need to understand your audience, right? Like if they're very young, if they like something new, you can't be catchy because they are tired. They have enough of traditional stuff. But if you are talking to traditional people, 35 and above, 40 and above, they don't really care about catchy stuff. They want to know what they're getting in return. I spend X amount of money, what will I get? Right? Like even they count that 10 cents. Trust me. So you can be catchy, but know the right people, know your crowd, and know the right approaches. Sometimes, again, you don't have to spend any money, but you can be catchy at zero cost.
All right, thank you. We have a few other questions as well here. The second question is from Susan. Thank you, Susan. Are there challenges when TNG e-wallet tried to make a difference in the crowded market? Ooh, this is interesting.
Interesting. Okay, thank you, Susan. It's a nice question. It's a good question. So challenges, of course. Everybody has challenges, right? Not just Touch 'n Go e-wallet. Everybody, day-to-day thing, right? So again, before you even think about the challenges, don't let it disrupt your mind. So at the end of the day, if you want to think about the challenges, yes, there will be challenges because not everybody will trust you, not everybody will buy in, not everybody will be liking you, right? Even now, we are facing a lot of people saying bad things about us. That is one of the challenges that we are facing. But at the end of the day, do you want to really think about that, or do you want to keep firm to your ground and just tell them like, hey, yes, we do have a lot of things that will come against us, but do we really know what we want to give back to the community? Now, the challenge is, so when COVID-19 happened, so a lot of people had difficulties to go out, to leave their house. So we were thinking, okay, how do we want to make people go to the shops and buy? And then things happen again, all the shops were asked to close. And then we know our strength. Always look at your strength that other people don't have. So this is the tip and the trick. But turning challenges into opportunities. So you take COVID-19, it's a bad thing already. No one can do anything about it. It's beyond our control. But what can you do to react to that situation? You push contactless payment, safe payment, and you tell people that, hey, you don't need to go to TA to withdraw your money from the machine. It might not be clean. You use Touch and Go e-wallet. You stay at home. It's in your hand. Your phone is in your hand, and it's very safe. So again, turn challenges into opportunities. So that's one of the big ways that we all can think of, and having a good team, knowing what you need to do. That is very key.
Thank you. And I think just to tie it up with what you said before, right? So challenges are lessons, and lessons are a good place to figure out where you want to pivot.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question. Thank you, Susan. So we have another
Thanks,
question from Tasha. So this is, how can a small startup disrupt with meaning? We are small companies and not like the big boys with a lot of resources.
Yeah, thank you, Tasha. So talking about resources, right? Like not every company has the same resources. Like when we talk about resources, it can be budget, it can be people, it can be equipment, it can be, do I have enough things or resources to shout or to disrupt the market? Going back to the previous question, again, knowing who you are, knowing what best things you have in your own company. You have the best people, use that, utilize them, optimize people. You have in-house channels at no cost, optimize, engage. All you need to do is to engage with the customers, because at the end of the day, you can pay for a lot of things, you can spend a lot of money, big boys can spend a lot of money out there, but will they engage? Or I will see something, wow, that's nice, that's very catchy, but will I do something about it? So startup doesn't need to be worried about the big boys as long as you know your stuff. You need to know yourself, just like we as individuals, right? So we have like someone who is richer than us, someone prettier than us, someone that is looking better than us. But how do we sell ourselves? We know our strength. So it goes back to my first slide, a single guy trying to get a girl that already has a boyfriend. So it's a long-term relationship, so the boyfriend has been there with her, but you need to know who you are, and you need to know the best time, and you need to know what is it in you that you don't need to do so much, and you need to know what the girl needs. So that's a tip as well.
That's very enjoyable. And actually, after this, we're going to have a conversation about how to set me up with a guy.
Of course, sure. I can help you with that.
Yeah. All right, so our next question is from John. Has the e-wallet space been disrupted? How has TNG e-wallet made a difference in the fintech space?
Okay, hi, John. Thanks for the question. So I can relate this to what happened at the beginning of the year. So everyone knows about the first government campaign, the previous government's campaign that was E-Tunai Rakyat. So before the team launched the campaign, everybody was kind of worried that will this work? Will this bring people to use Touch and Go e-wallet? So again, true enough, 70% of Malaysians claim with Touch and Go e-wallet. And we were just like, what, less than 2 years old? So we were kind of new at that time when that happened. But surprisingly, I can tell you in 2019, the year ended with 6.8 million users. And after that happened, after the 70% of Malaysians claim with Touch and Go e-wallet, it became 10 million. And now we are already at 11 million users. We are the #1 e-wallet in the country. Trust me. So it has been disrupted by a lot of people, not just the competitions, but the customers as well, the users of the previous wallets or the other wallets now. So they are so used to the rest of the wallets, but they're very new to Touch and Go e-wallet. But again, we did a study, we did a research. What is there in the app that people want to see? Do we make it a vast thing, a very, bombastic thing, or we just need something simple? So it goes back to customer experience. So again, don't really care about, being disrupted by the competition. Don't worry about the competitors saying like they are great, they are this, they are that. So not everybody will like you, but there will be people who will stick to you, right? So again, know who you are. Ignore about the challenges, ignore about all the disturbances, ignore about disruptions, know what you're doing. And small companies, big companies, know who you are, know what you're doing, and the most important thing is be relevant. Make it simple to the customers. It's all about user journey. It's all about customer experience.
All right, awesome. So our audience turned up today, so we have 4 more questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you so much to the audience for being so awesome. Okay, so we have a question from Reynes. Can you share what local entrepreneurs can do to stimulate their businesses?
Okay, how do I pronounce your name? Reynes? Yeah. Okay, thanks for the question. Again, for small businesses, I do understand that you don't have that amount of resources. Sometimes you don't even have resources at all. Partnerships work. For us, we are a startup, right? So at one point, we were not as big as the other wallets. We do partnerships. You can't do things alone. Something small needs to marry something big, or need to marry someone that is very right for your business. So partnership. So one word, partnership. It will help your business. And don't worry about, I don't have a lot of things to shout. I don't have enough resources to compete in the market to get the customers to come to my shop. Don't worry about that. Partner with the right people. So partnerships. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like, what do you have, and how can you benefit from your partner as
right,
well?
Partnerships.
Yeah, it's like a marriage.
Yep, it's like a marriage. Yeah, it's like a
Correct.
marriage. You complete each other, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know yet. Maybe in a few years I'll get
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Okay, so we have another question from Charmaine. Most of your examples are logo designs. Is there any example like disruptive changes in services or products that you can talk about?
Okay, again, the examples that I've shared earlier were just some of the things that happened. There are a lot of other things that happen as well. So I think it goes back to the situation. Sometimes it didn't just about the logo. Sometimes it's about what happened. So if everyone remembers, so one of the good examples is AirAsia. It wasn't about their logo. They changed the uniform for that period of time because they wanted everybody to fly AirAsia, to go back to the hometown and vote. So that's not changing the logo. That's just changing the perception. So that's one example about not changing the logo, but changing the perception that, hey, I'm now blue, but everybody knew their intention. So yeah, that's one of the example in services. Yep.
Okay, cool. So we have another one by Alex. What is your advice to new businesses and brands who want to make a positive impact to consumers?
Thanks, Alex. Impact. So talking about impact, right? So again, I will repeat the same thing. You need to know the situation. So COVID-19, so a good example that I can give you now is Touch and Go e-wallet. So the good example is COVID-19. So I'm not saying that COVID-19 is good, but it's a blessing in disguise in a way, because Malaysians were so hard to trust e-wallet, digital stuff, like will my information be known by everybody. So it goes back to PDPA Act, and as well as is it secure? So COVID-19 happened when they were stuck at home. They started to think about, I need to use e-wallet because I can get something delivered to my house, and I can pay from home, and I still get my stuff delivered to me. So new businesses and brands who want to make a positive impact to consumers, don't think about a lot of things that are too complicated. Just know the situation, enter during or do something at the right time, and talk to the right people, knowing what they need. At the end of the day, marketing 101 is very basic. Marketing is all about giving back or satisfying consumers' needs and wants. If they have a lot of money, you satisfy their wants. If they don't have a lot of money, they just need what is essentials and necessaries, you go with their needs. Yep. So it works for small businesses or big businesses. So at the end of the day is know the situation, know your resources, and know whether or not what you're doing is relevant. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, we have one
Oh,
more.
okay.
I think this is the last one, right?
Sure.
Okay, so we have one more question from Jeffrey. How does the Touch and Go
Red
e-wallet
brands.
market itself to stand out against your competitors? Example, red or /green brands.
Okay. Touch and Go e-wallet market itself to stand out against your competitors. Again, we didn't do something extraordinary. We didn't do something crazy. We just did something that is relevant to the society. So when we entered the market, right, so we made ourselves very clear, the vision clear, saying that we want to transform, we want to induct Malaysians into a cashless society. So when you say cashless society, it means without cash, right? As simple as without cash. You need to challenge yourself. So forget about the red brand, forget about the green brands, because at the end of the day, the green brand, they have another priority. It's not just about the e-wallet. So sometimes people need them for something that Touch and Go e-wallet doesn't have or the red brand doesn't have. And what the red has, we might not have it. And what we have, both of the brands don't have it. So standing out is not about playing with the colors so much. Sometimes it's not about shouting that, oh, we are very different, we are like that, we are so great, we are good, we are the best, we are the best. Have a proof. So now we are brave enough to say that we are the #1 e-wallet because of the campaign that I mentioned earlier that make us have 11 million users and more than 220 merchant partners. Why? Because we don't need to say that we are great, but actions speak louder than words. Yep.
I love that. I really, really love that. It's very philosophical.
Thank you.
So we're about to
Is that
say
the last question?
Do we have another one? No. Okay. So we do not have any more questions. But thank you so much for all the questions from the audience
Thank
members.
you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the questions.
Cool. So all right. So we're gonna wrap up the session, and then we're gonna move on. And we're gonna bring it forward. I'm just gonna say thank you to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you once again, Isra. It is a great honor to be able to hear from a startup company that started in 2018 to have grown in the e-wallet market to consume over 80% of the market share is quite interesting. And the philosophy was very down to earth. It was, what do you have? Use it, and use it in a smart way. So that was awesome. But the fun is not over yet. We have a panel discussion coming up next. We have 4 renowned industry marketers and CX practitioners who will be sharing their marketing cheat sheet in disrupting the norm in order to build customer trust in their brand. Our first guest panelist is currently the head of marketing for Ada, a brand builder and natural communicator with an affinity for technology. Stephanie Conter has won the Gold Award for Best B2B Marketer at Malaysia CMO Awards 2018. Our second guest panelist is instrumental in the relaunch of the legendary Ayam Goreng McD, my personal favorite item from McDonald's. He joined McDonald's Malaysia in 2019 as a marketing executive. Eugene Lee is now the regional marketing director for Asia, overseeing 11 markets across APAC. The coolest part is Eugene was recently named one of Asia Pacific's top 50 most influential marketers of 2020. Our third guest panelist is a digital practitioner with over 20 years of experience spanning across multiple industries. Ramesh Rajendran is currently the Chief Marketing Officer for Seek Asia. Ramesh has worked for Fortune 500 companies including Apple, Microsoft, and Telenor Group. He is laser focused on crafting the best customer experiences for clients across Southeast Asia. Lastly but not least, we are going to say hi to him again. This is Ellen Xiong, the Customer Experience Client Partner of Kanta, who was also our keynote speaker. This is definitely a power-packed panel. If you guys are excited as I am, if you guys have any thoughts, if you guys have any ideas of what's going to go or any questions, please leave it in the chat box below or in the comment section below and our panel will address it. All right, the panel is getting ready. We will be back in just a short while, so please stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks again, Myra, for that energetic and the introduction for this panel session. It's me again, Alan. You saw me just now in my sharing in the earlier session, and with the last segment of today, we have a panelist section, and we are very honored to have with us three exciting and wonderful individuals from the various industries. We have Stephanie from ADA, right beside me, and we have Eugene from McDonald's. Hi, my personal favorite since young McDonald's. And Ramesh from SIG Asia, right? And the theme for today's sharing will be standing out from the crowd. And I'm sure with the topics that we have heard the last 2 days, with customer experience, with marketing, with digital disruptions and stuff, and how will brand continue to keep themselves afloat and standing out from the crowd, right? And maybe perhaps from that team, to start off with, I would like to ask individual. Maybe we'll start off with Stephanie. Yeah, what was the key driver that kept ADA from standing out from the crowd?
Okay, thanks for that question. So I've worked in many different organizations, some big like PwC or Intel, some smaller like Catcher, and then a startup like ADA. And I can tell you, no matter the size of your organization, how old, how well established your brand is, the one thing that we always struggle with is how to be distinctive. And I think for ADA, because we're a startup and obviously people don't really know the brand, it's only about 2 years old, it was really, really important for us to be able to be clear about what our brand identity is. And the brand identity is not something you just come up with, right? It's got to be something that you resonate with as an organization, something that your people live and breathe. So we actually struggle with that for the first year or so. And then earlier this year is like, I guess, a brainwave suddenly struck us, and we realized that we are actually a data and AI company. And through that data and AI, we are able to help our customers with integrated analytics, marketing, advertising solutions. But I say the brainwave struck because we had already been preaching about data and practicing it. And whenever we speak to any customer, whenever we speak amongst ourselves, it's always about what is the data telling me? If you're going to solve a customer problem, what data do we have on hand? So we already were living and breathing this, and then putting that into our brand identity was just a natural progression. And that's going to be hopefully what helps us stand out from the crowd.
Right, and it's quite interesting because as a startup, I think what Stephanie has hit the nail there is really identifying, that particular like there, and then, suddenly everything come together as an organization, especially for a startup. Yeah. And I'm gonna ask the same question to Eugene next, and because I grew up eating McDonald's, and McDonald's been a global brand, So what is that key, that key focus that McDonald's holds to today that keep you standing out from the crowd?
So, no, that's a fantastic question, and I love talking about this subject in particular because for us we are a global international company, but we function very locally. So we are localized and hyper localized in all the markets that we function in, and the menu that you see in Malaysia is going to be different from the menu that you know when you head to Thailand, when you head to Hong Kong, when you head to Australia. Everything is different, right, across the board. And so we're hyper localized, not just from a product sense, but from a communication sense as well. And so something that, taking it back to a bit more to the Malaysian context is how we started to stand out in Malaysia, is by being hyper localized. And something that we realized very early on is that, so a lot of the presentations and a lot of the agency materials, when they came in and talked to us, right, they would present scripts and they would present ideas in English, right? The jokes are in English, the punchlines are in English. But 98% of Malaysians speak in vernaculars, which is Bahasa and Chinese. And we realized that, right? Why are we sitting on our high horse on an ivory tower in PJ Bangsa, KL, and thinking that people in Terengganu understand your joke, right? Your English joke, or people in Penang understand your English joke. So something that we did and something that I implemented is that we changed the way that the agency comes in and presents to us. I told them, you cannot come in with English ideas anymore. You're coming in and you're presenting a Bahasa script. You're coming in and presenting a Mandarin script, a Chinese script that has insights for Malays, that has insights for Chinese people that are speaking that way. And I think that made a huge impact in terms of the way that we thought about it. And that helped us stand out a lot more, in the sea of QSR fast food advertising, right? In the past, you would see marketing and advertising from fast food, and it all looks the same, right? It's flying letters, it's a flying patty, it's sauce oozing onto to a burger and things like that. And so that is something on our end that we realized that, you need to be hyper localized. You need to be relevant to the market that you are in. A person in Malaysia is completely different from a person in Singapore, and you would know, right? Like the top selling burger in Malaysia is the McChicken. It's a chicken product. Right. The top selling burger in Singapore is the filet o fish. We are neighbors, but it's completely different products, right? So you have to be hyper localized, and I think that's something that McDonald's as a brand has done really well globally to help stand out in the crowd.
Right. And I really echo that, because when I first moved to Malaysia from Singapore, I went to one of the McDonald's outlets, and I was so surprised that you serve nasi lemak.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, and egg, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
we don't find that in
and we have porridge as well.
Porridge, yeah,
So
right. And we don't find that in market like Singapore, for example. And so yeah, interesting to know the localization that is so critical in terms of the different market. And just moving on to Ramesh. Yeah, I can see that he's ready to answer the question. I mean, very different industry again. From startup, data driven to F&B, fast food, and and SIG Asia. You play the link between employers and potential employees. Yeah. So what are the key drivers that kept SIG Asia from standing out from the crowd?
So thank you, Alan. It's great to be here. One of the most important things for us, we operate across 7 markets across the region. So in Southeast Asia, in Hong Kong, and those markets behave very differently. In Malaysia, most of the people here would know us as Job Street, and same across the border in Singapore. And what's most important, as you mentioned, is really standing out towards the businesses that are trying to hire people, and also job seekers that are looking for jobs. So while we've enjoyed, being the leading job marketplace in Malaysia, we continue to see how the job marketplace is evolving. Consumers or job seekers would want to have a better experience. And that experience is really not only in finding a job, but how can a business like Job Street or SIG Asia across the region help me in finding, that job that's going to help me be better in my career. So when we talk about standing out, we really want to connect with our audiences, making sure that we understand what are their pain points, understand how do we deliver exemplary customer experience. And when I talk about customer experience, not just about a great app or a great website. It's about understanding the fundamentals of user behavior and how can we actually complement our customers. So to me, standing out really means being obsessed with our customers. And being obsessed is, as I said, understanding what they want, when they want it, and how they want it to be presented. Second is really understanding the customer data. I think today in most businesses, and us, we're an online business, so we collect information about you as an individual that wants to apply for a job. So as we collect it, trust becomes a very important component of it. So as we run our business, we want to make sure that our job seekers that come to our platform and our business that interact with us have the trust to ensure that their data is protected. At the same time, they're going after what's most important, which is their careers in the market. So those are really important components. And if I go back to the view of understanding customer data, as Stephanie mentioned, tons of data. We are also starting to use artificial intelligence in a very big way to make sure that we can place some of or most of our candidates in better jobs going forward. So we want to be that career and talent partner for every individual around our community. But the world is changing. As it's changing rapidly in the last couple of months, it is super important that we use data to guide how we're going to stand out going forward.
Right. Thanks for sharing. And actually, that leads me to my next question. From you mentioned experience, customer experience. That's something that is always in my heart. And for SIG Asia in particular, would it be more challenging, because I would see that you have two different group of customer that you need to deal with? So from what I shared earlier in my session about redesigning the journey for your customer, so you have on one hand the employers, and on the other hand you have the potential employees. Can you just share a bit? Is it very different in terms of managing these two main group of your customers, because you can't live without any one of them, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So a really good question. I think both sides of the equation are extremely important to our business.
Right.
And we strive to make sure that the experience is top-notch on both sides. So whether I'm a job seeker that's going to look for a job, or I'm a business that's looking for talent, we need to provide these segments with the right tools, the right capabilities, and the right services. So for example, we are using artificial intelligence to better understand the behaviors of job seekers so that we can send them to the right employers that are looking for people. We're also giving our employers the right tools so that they can look for specific talent within the pool that we have. And we are also using artificial intelligence in that space. So while the journeys might be different, but we're going after a common goal. We want to be that career and talent partner to the community around us.
Right.
So I wouldn't say, we will focus in one spectrum or the other, but customer experience is equally important. And one of the things that we kind of potentially, when we talk about customer experience in a big way, but what's so important is employees or people around us understand the importance of customer experience and people experience. Because we can have great frameworks and charts and all of that kind of be put in place, but fundamentally ensuring that the people that work for brands understand what it means to have great experience is going to be super important in the whole equation.
Right. Yeah. That is very interesting, because I will randomly shift between the three of you, but then I would think that coming back to Eugene, for McDonald's, that would be even a greater challenge in terms of employee experience, because you run, you talk about, earlier you mentioned about localization, that is one thing, but we have so many McDonald's outlets, in the market itself, just for Malaysia, for example, and was it a key challenge in terms of, getting the employees on the right, right directions together with the overall corporation's focus? And
definitely, when you're managing that many people across the country and from different backgrounds, right? So a person in KL will be very different from a person in Penang versus a person in Kelantan versus a person even in East Malaysia, right? And trickling those ideas down from the top is something that we do a lot of work behind, right? So we have a phrase in the company where it's every single message needs to go from the boardroom to the crew room, right? It needs to flow all the way down, and they need to understand what's happening with the company. They need to understand what to do moving forward, and what we're placing as of utmost importance within the company. In terms of an experience, especially during COVID, right? I think it's an experience both on the consumer side of things and the consumer and on the employee side of things, right? Because employees are fearful to come to work, but we still have to continue to operate. Customers, they are fearful to head into the restaurants because it's going to be I don't want to be interacting with too many people. So yeah, it was a challenge, and I think we were very, very fortunate that we operate 2 other channels. Dine-in was closed during that period of COVID, but we were very fortunate to have drive-thrus, and we were very fortunate to have delivery. So we were still able to reach the customers where they, when they wanted to have their favorite McDonald's, where they could just use the drive-thru. So the experience for the customer was completely, it's still the same flow because I'm still used to taking the drive-thru, and on delivery as well. So it's moving them from what they're used to walking into the restaurant and ordering at the counter, moving them into these channels to continue to sustain the business. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And just now we heard from Stephanie that as a startup, the challenge is also because everyone will have a lot of ideas, right? Especially for a startup. And what would the journey towards when you mentioned suddenly all of you guys saw that direction? Yeah, maybe you can just share on that from internal employee team perspective.
Yeah, so bringing the team together when you're a startup. When I joined ADA, I think about 16 months ago, we were probably about 300 people. Today, we're close to 600, so across the 9 markets that we're in. So we've grown a lot, and so that's not easy. But let me talk about how the marketing team, at least, which I hate, how we go about doing this. There are 3 main things that, we live by. The first one is there's constant trial and error because we're a startup. The second thing is to be guided, though, by a clear vision of what we want to achieve. And the third thing that we do is really all about constantly delivering value to our customers and potential customers before we ask for anything back. So what do I mean by that? So trial and error, really, because like I said, we're a startup. We're present in 9 different countries. Within my marketing team put together, we've probably got about 100 years of experience amongst us. But none of us have ever worked in this kind of business before because we're building something that doesn't really exist, right? So we don't know for sure what will work. So it's constantly, trying something new, quickly learning from that, and then building on it. When I first started, we didn't have a CRM. We didn't even have a proper website. But today, now we at least know, okay, what works for my target audience, CMOs in Malaysia, versus what works for someone in Indonesia. It's very, very different. But through that trial and error, at least we have a better idea now. And then building on that. But when you're doing a lot of trial and error and experimenting and failing sometimes, it can get a bit, confusing. So you do need that clear vision from the start. And for me, the clear vision was when I joined as head of marketing was I wanted marketing to be a function that does not have to constantly justify its experience, its reason for being there. You don't want to have to constantly say, hey, this is why I need a budget and this is the value I'm bringing. It should be clear. So my whole aim was we are going to be responsible to help bring revenue to this business. It's a growing business. It needs revenue. So the whole, no matter what we did, whether it's brand building, brand awareness, lead gen, it's all really about how do we drive real revenue to our businesses in the different markets through sales qualified leads. So that has been a constant obsession, bringing in sales qualified leads. And that's the clear vision. And then finally, it's about how do I keep delivering value to my potential customers and my customers? So we are constantly out there sharing, best practices, sharing, because we have a lot of data, so sharing consumer insights, whether it's on how consumers in Malaysia changed during COVID-19, how their personas changed. So putting it out there, because even though people may think, hey, that's a trade secret, why are you sharing it? If I don't give that value, how am I going to build trust in the first place? Yeah. So.
Yeah, that is very interesting that you bring up the word trust, especially. I mean, that leads me to my next question. I mean, inevitably we can't skip around it, but we are really in a crisis right now, and it's not just us; it's globally because of COVID-19, and we all see that mostly all the industry has been affected by it. So, given the crisis, just maybe I'll jump back to Ramesh. Maybe you can just share with the audience that, you know, what are the innovative ways that SIG Asia has done to continue to provide, you know, the services to both ends of your customers, as well as, you know, like what Stephanie mentioned just now about continuing to maintain the trust with your customer.
Sure. Great question again. I think this pandemic has tested our limits in no way possible before. I mean, it's the first time for many of us, and we're going to remember this for a very, very long time. So at SIG Asia and our brands JobStreet and JobsDB across the region, when we hit the pandemic, and this was lockdowns across Southeast Asia in the month of March, we actually went back to the drawing board to basically say, you know what, whatever we planned for the last 6 months really doesn't make sense anymore. Because, I mean, businesses are closed, people are now all at home, they're stuck and they can't go out. So what do we do as a brand? And we went back to data. We went back to data to basically understand, you know, what is driving, you know, intent at that point in time. And one of the things that came out very quickly in the first few days of us going through the pandemic is people are going to lose jobs. And in any part of the world, this was a common concern for individuals, governments, and just people around us. And one of the things that drew to our attention was, you know, how do we solve this problem? Because end of the day, if people lose jobs, our business is also at risk.
Yeah.
So we brainstorm, you know, and as I said, people in the organization, not just marketing. Because for us to take something to the market, we need the collaboration of everyone in the organization to make it happen. And we came together as one, and we said, how do we help people that are going to be displaced? In Malaysia, back then it was 3.5% of unemployment. It's hit 5.3% last month. And we project, and the government and Department of Statistics projected 5.5 in a couple of months down the road. So we said we needed to solve this problem or lend a hand in ensuring that people can still find jobs. So my team came up with a brilliant idea to say that if you would have lost a job due to the pandemic, we wanted them to be visible to potential employers who needed immediate help. So if I'm a business and I need to hire someone today, how would I be able to see, you know, who is available in the market and actually look at an individual's experience? So we launched a program called #WorkNow, which is basically very simple. I'm ready to work now. And we took it to market across 6 countries, overwhelming response. We had over 77,000 people tag their profiles with Work Now, and that really showcased that, you know, people actually needed jobs. And what is I guess, really touching, it was not about, you know, how much revenue we're going to bring in at that point in time, but we wanted to have a sense of purpose in helping the community around us. So today I'm actually really happy to even say that those people that tagged were actually contacted by employers, and more than half of them have actually found jobs in businesses. So that's a really good way of, you know, looking at a problem,
yeah, right.
Understanding based on data. You know, we saw search volumes going up because people lost jobs. They're hungry for jobs, and we launched a program that actually bridged both the employers and employees. So tremendous effort using data once again, connecting with the purpose that we have as a brand, and basically, end of the day, delivering, you know, to the community around us. So
I see the what you have shared, and also quite resemblance to what Stephanie has shared of her trial and error. I see it as company brands now needs to be more agile.
Yep.
Especially in times of crisis like this. Like you mentioned, what you planned 6 months ago can throw out the window. And, you know, trend breaking and stuff like that. There's no more trend because we don't even know that will we get back to, you know, pre-COVID situation.
I mean, just to add on, Alan, I think when we first launched this program, you had to go into your profile and put in hashtag work now. That was overnight, right? We managed to come up with this idea. But then because of trial and error, all right, we said, you know what if we could just send a link to the email or to the phone number registered, and the individual had to just click on it and say, I'm ready to work now. So over weeks into understanding data, we then launched version 2 of it, and it was much simpler and much better experience. So trial and error is super important in the age of today's environments.
Right. And then so back to Eugene, and during this crisis, were there any things that worth sharing at McDonald's in terms of how the agility in turning the business around agility, trial and error?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I saw across the system, and at least across APAC, was the move from ads, ADS, to X. So McDonald's across the system, we moved away from marketing and we moved into acting, right? And doing things in the community. And that was what customers were concerned about, right? It wasn't about me putting a Big Mac in your face and saying, hey, come and buy now, right? Because no one is, the emotional state at that point in time is I'm concerned about what's happening around me. I'm concerned about what's happening in my neighborhood. I'm concerned about what's happening in my community. I'm concerned about what's happening in my country. So we moved from running ads on TV to doing X, right? And donating to frontliners. Customers were concerned about the safety of our employees in the restaurants and what we are doing on the back end to ensure that everyone is safe. How do we ensure that the food that we're serving to the customers are safe? Those were all the things that customers were concerned about. You put a Big Mac in their face, they are not going to be interested to buy it if they don't feel comfortable buying it from you in the first place. So we switched around our entire communication strategy, and I think that everything, and Ramesh, you spoke about it earlier, everything that we had planned and we planned for the entire year, we threw out the window and we completely reconfigured what we were going to go out with. And globally, we've launched a program called Safety Plus, right? So it's a Safety Plus program that all the markets will execute in their own local way to talk about what the markets are concerned about. So if in Malaysia, wearing a mask is something that's important, and I want to see the crew member wearing a mask, I'll feel a little bit safer that way. That's what we do locally. In the Philippines, it could be seeing the crew sanitize their hands and wash their hands every half an hour, right? It could be something that's of concern over there. So every market has is very different when it comes to what they're concerned about, and you have to be agile that way. And so we moved out from X to X, and I think that I love the comment on brand trust scores earlier. And what we are seeing right now is that coming out of this pandemic, and you look at the markets that are in later stages of recovery right now, or the earlier markets to come out of recovery, like a Taiwan, right? Taiwan came out, or they came out of their crisis period with historical high brand trust scores, right? And this is not highest for the year. This is highest ever brand trust scores, like brand I can trust, brand I feel comfortable, about favorite QSR, that kind of brand scores. And it was a huge impact to their recovery momentum moving forward, right? So they're one of the first markets in the region to currently be, in May or in June at positive momentum. So year-on-year growth, they're already in positive. And the big deal that comes out from that is that they had the brand trust scores to drive that momentum, because during a pandemic, or during the upcoming recession, which is inevitable, customers turn to brands that they can trust, right? And customers turn to brands that they feel safe with. So if I feel safe with McDonald's and they've built that trust during the pandemic, or they make me feel safe, it's easier for me to continue moving forward. So that's what we're seeing across the markets, and I think that's something that we're going to continue to focus on.
Right, and I love this conversation so much, because or at least for me and in Kantar, we believe that the brand trust is really focusing on what the brand promise, as well as what the brand delivers, and anchored on two very important things. One is, of course, the customer experience, and the other one is, we've been talking about, it's employee experience. Yeah, and it's so hard heartwarming to hear all these examples from the different industries across what we have here. And Stephanie, any example to share on the crisis? Because
so let me
yeah.
share my example. So
Yeah.
I love what Ramesh, he keeps talking about data, and because we are all about data as well, and it's amazing that Seek Asia has all this data and is able to utilize it. But during COVID-19, what we did at ADA, we did a quick pulse survey with about 200 of our clients, so CMOs around the region. And we realized the one thing that had changed pre-COVID to during COVID was this need for consumer insights. Most of them were left scrambling, like, we don't know what's happening with our consumers. How are their behaviors changing? How should I react as a brand? And then we realized, look, we sit on all this data. We've got about over 350 million consumer profiles around the region. What can we do with that data to help these brands who are in this need? So we quickly, went through, and we discovered that actually there are these new crisis personas that consumers have developed during COVID-19, right? And whether there's this one persona I remember called the sad and confused. So while everyone else was spending more and more time on digital channels, looking at entertainment, on social media, looking at news, the sad and confused actually have taken a step back from what they were doing before.
Right.
They're actually pulling away from interaction. And so that's quite, dangerous. But so we had all these consumer insights, and we said, you know what, we're going to put that, and we're going to help these brands. So we quickly built a COVID-19 microsite. We started running a series of webinars. I know everyone is webinar out, but at that time, I think we were one of the first to do it. And I remember our first webinar, we were oversubscribed. So I only had accommodated for about 500 people, and we had close to 1,000 people attending.
Thousands,
Yeah.
right.
So people were really hungry for this insight, and we said, we're going to share it with them. We're going to run these webinars. We're going to help you. We know you're not going to be able to spend during this period with us, but we know you need this data. We have it. And if we help you eventually, then your business can survive and we can work with you, right? So that's how we quickly pivoted during COVID-19 and how we were able to tap onto what we have to help our customers. Yeah.
Right. And it's already half an hour. I mean, we were so passionate, in terms of,
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, right. And and then I mean, there are keywords that from this chat that we have is really becoming a good sharing for the audience for this panel session. I mean, one of the top of my mind is brand trust, be agile, and of course customer experience that we're talking about, and the ability to quickly get the internal team together as one. That those are very good advice for the brands out there, company out there, whether you are SMEs or even big organization, for example. In the interest of time, I'm just going to ask the last question, and before we take the questions from the audience, virtual audience. Can you share, from what you see right now? I know we spoke about this, plans throw out the window, possible recession coming. What, from your personal assessment, what is the outlook for the remaining 2020 and 2021? Is it still going to be, downward, glooming, or we possibly see a U-shaped recovery, or maybe a quick rebound in end of Q3 coming to Q4? Maybe let's start
I
with
can take
Ramesh.
that.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is that we're now seeing markets open.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there is recovery, and a hindsight on that is that we need to be able to capture attention of our consumers and make sure that we are in front of them, and they know that we are here. So as I mentioned, brand trust is super important, and we spoke a bit about that. As we go through recovery, I think recovery might take a bit longer than we anticipated. We thought we have flattened the curve, and we've come back in the last couple of weeks with more cases. So I think we just need to keep ourselves on the toes. Recovery might take 6 months, it might take a year, it might take 2 years. We don't know, and it's hard to predict given how volatile the situation is. But as marketeers, keeping abreast of what's happening around us is super important, and I think that's really going to be able to shape how we as a brand help our consumers out there. So I think while we can't predict what the future is, we can make use, and there's plenty to do around us today to ensure that we can stay ahead of our business.
Yeah, I just want to add in, I definitely don't think we're out of the woods yet. We have to be cautious. But one good thing that has come out of this, there have been so many people that have come to me personally and to my colleagues saying, God, I need to go digital. Realizing that, look, that's the future. My customers are digital because of the pandemic. Everyone's online. So I think that's the great thing. It's made a lot of businesses that otherwise would have, continued to wait it out, realize they need to change. They need to get digital. And so, this is a great time to quickly pivot, restructure, and go forward. Yeah.
Right. And
Just to add on
sure.
that, I mean, one of the things that I learned, part of looking at data is, when someone applies for a job, everyone will physically think, I need to go for an interview. But guess what? In the situation like this, interviews are not going to happen physically. So we need to change. And so new tools and new ways of actually, having interviews conducted. And one of the things that we really thought about is how do we prep the hundreds, thousands, or millions of people that need to go for interviews in this new age? How do I be presentable on Zoom or WebEx? And how do we, how do I answer questions via a camera? How do I dress up? All these are really important. And we are now just not telling people their jobs, but also helping guide them to make sure that they can adapt to the changing environment. So I think these are new things that we're going to start to think about and do. And bite-sized content is going to be super important in the digital age today.
Right. Eugene?
No, I think Stephanie and Ramesh summed it up pretty well, and I want to save time for the fantastic questions that we're seeing on the screen.
Right.
So yeah, nothing from me to add.
Okay, right. And let's just move to the questions from the floor. The first question, I really love HSBC Go Global Market Local Marketing. What advice do you have in targeting towards niche markets such as millennials, Gen Y, and Gen Z?
Can I quickly take that?
Please.
So every brand wants to go after the millennials, right? Everyone's like, okay, what are the millennials thinking? How can I go after them? We actually have a quick report on millennials, consumer insights on them coming up soon. So go to ada-asia.com. You'll see it there. But what we realize when you look at the data that not all millennials are the same. Not all of them are young. In fact, the older millennials are now, parents, in their 30s. They are parents with kids. They have very, very different priorities and needs than someone who's, I guess, just starting to look for a job. So it's really, really important that you don't paint all millennials as a stereotype. Really understand what are the different types of millennials out there. Dig into that data. If you don't have your own first-party data, there's a lot of second-party data out there, whether it's through search trends, social listening. There are a lot of tools out there. Or there are third-party data providers like ourselves and many other providers who have consumer data that can tell you, hey, what are the different types of millennials? What are their interests? What are their needs? How do you personalize your offerings to them? So I think that's really key. Start with the data and personalize what you have.
Gentlemen, anything to add?
Yeah, I think the one bit of advice from me is to stop, in the first place, stop categorizing them into age demographics. Right, that's the immediately the wrong thing to do. Whether you say millennials, whether Gen Ys, Gen Zs, because you are clustering them into a set sort of stereotype, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. For us over at McDonald's, we've moved away from having demographics and it being age based or a profile based to being need state based, right? So when you want to sell something to someone, you're selling them based on their needs, right, and what they want at that point in time. Right, I could be 15 years old or I could be 50 years old and I would want a Big Mac, right? So I'm selling it to you based on your need state versus selling it to you based on your age group. And I think that's very important piece that you need to keep in mind, that you're identifying what someone wants and you're going after and doing marketing to tackle that want instead of trying to always put people into a age group or a segment and say, oh, let's talk to mothers. Even between mothers, every single mother is going to be extremely different, right? But do you talk to a mother that wants more time with her kids, or do you want to talk to a mother with that wants a break away from her kids, right? That's two different things as well,
right?
So the marketing approach has to be very different. We tackle need states, don't tackle demographics in terms of an age.
Right.
I think we've been stuck in this whole persona world, right? So we build, and Stephanie and I were just talking before this, and we build a persona that says 18 to 24, and we kind of stuff everything, which is what Eugene is kind of alluding to. So mindsets are super important. I can be here sitting down and say, I want a Big Mac for lunch, or when I go home, that mindset might change, and I want to go for a nasi goreng somewhere. So I think as brands think about the people that they interact with, thinking about mindsets is going to be super crucial. Versus kind of forcing them into personas which were traditional ways of design thinking back then.
Thank you. Next question. In your opinion, what can the banks do in terms of digital marketing to stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, so, sorry, hope you don't mind.
No, go ahead, please.
So no, and I wanted to talk about this because we actually do work with a lot of banks. In Indonesia, we work with most of the top banks. And one thing that many of our clients and prospective clients that we were talking to during COVID, they're telling us, look, people are not spending. They're not going to want credit cards. No, they're not going to want loans because there are all these moratoriums. So, I'm not going to do anything. But the truth is, when we did just a quick search, right, on a quick look at search intent, there was, in many of the Southeast Asian countries, there was a rise in people looking for, personal loans, credit cards. So there's still opportunity. I think for banks, it's really important to not just assume, and really, again, goes back to the data. What are your prospective consumers really looking for? How can you really get back into that mindset? And digital is just a channel. It's just a channel, right? So really it goes back to, is there a need? Can I service that need? And how do I reach out to them? The great thing about digital, of course, is that you can now measure and see whether it's effective or not. Are you targeting the right person? Are you getting the ROI on your spend?
Right. I'm going to be very, very blunt on that question. And I just want to touch on it a little bit. But so when you think about bank marketing, whether it's digital, whether it's traditional, whatever it is, the first word that comes to your mind is boring, right? I mean, let's be fair, right? It's never going to be super exciting. So I think the easiest way for you to stand out is to, and we have a saying internally right now that creativity is now business critical, right? Because if you look at campaigns that are creatively awarded versus campaigns that are not creatively awarded. Creatively awarded campaigns perform 70%. That means the campaigns that take risks, right? That push the limits and the boundaries of creativity. I think that's how you stand out in a crowd, right? You push that towards a different medium. And I love what you said earlier, Stephanie, where it's not about digital marketing. It's not about being on digital and things like that, because it's about what creativity can you bring to the board. And it's about pushing that to the next limit. So I'll take a very, very good example, which is something that I'm very, very proud of. In 2019, we took one of the oldest mediums in advertising, which is billboards, right? And we took billboards and we changed all the billboards in Malaysia that we had a presence on to feature local icons, right? So we used McDonald's food and we changed it to feature the local icons in each local state. And that goes back to the localization message earlier, where you could see Twin Towers made out of French fries, right? You could see Penang Bridge made out of burgers. You would see Batu Caves, you would see, Sunway Pyramid, you see Taiping Lake Gardens. And it caused a massive buzz locally and very extreme in terms of the reach that it reached out to people. So it's not about the medium that you're on. Right. I really don't think that it's ever about the medium that you're on, but I think it's about the creativity. And I would love to see, personally, like next level creatives coming out from banks, right? Like just being adventurous and being bold with your moves. Because honestly, sometimes when you look at, and I'm sorry to all the bank people out there, right? But if you take all the bank advertising and you stack it next to each other and you remove the logos, they all look the same. Right? So if you want to stand out, how are you going to stand out? You have to be creative, right? And it has to be completely different from what everyone else is doing. Don't do something that will hurt your brand, but be creative about it. And I think something that is recently been buzzing quite a fair bit is GSC, right? GSC and their social media and how they're taking social media to a very different level, where the way they're interacting with their consumers. So it's pushing creativity, and creativity can come in any shape and form, and I think it's really important, and that's how you stand out.
Thank you. Ramesh, you got
I
anything
think we
to add
have
on?
some
Right.
questions, so I think they summed it up really well.
Right.
So
Great. Next question. Is it recommended for SMEs to invest into interactive and visual creative websites or other online platforms to create a better customer engagement or brand recognition?
Ramesh, go for it.
I think this,
Digital
this
expert.
this will be on top of mind for a lot of SME because
Yeah.
especially in the crisis now because you know yeah
I think understanding, where your consumers are is the first step. I mean, you can have a lot of consumers on social network platforms, and the way they interact with those mediums are going to be very different. So, I think you need to have a way on catching all of these opportunities, and that's potentially your website. So, making sure that your website is frictionless and it's easy to use is, I guess, hygiene. But content is playing a very important role in terms of ensuring that content can resonate well with your brand. So whether you create visual content or interactive content, I think you need to really understand where they are and what works best for your brand. I would say bite-sized content is super important because most of Malaysians are on their mobile phone all the time. They spend a ton of time on Facebook and Twitter and now TikTok.
even
So-
our kids.
Yes, even our kids too. So I think creating content that resonates well with your brand is super important. Making sure that it's bite-sized, it's easy to consume, and it gets your brand message across fairly easily. Sometimes it's not about overselling, but making sure that your purpose is there. What are you trying to achieve? Is going to be super important. On interactivity, I think there's a place and form for it. So if you're trying to send a message where you might want to have interactivity in terms of quizzes so that you can, spur demand and you can drive, next level engagement with your brand, I think it works to a certain extent. However, I'll be cautious to make sure that you don't create friction while you create all this content because, the moment that people think it's too lengthy or it's, too cumbersome to understand or you're not going to get the message about, people just shut off.
Fire, right?
Yes, and also understanding, data around you. If people are talking about a certain buzzword, you talked about GSC, Eugene. How do you ride on the wave? How do you make sure that the content resonates well with me as a consumer is going to be super important. So I think it's great to have bite-sized content. It's great to have content in the mediums at work and try new things. Video is becoming huge, and I think brands are going to jump on this bandwagon, making sure that they can be present.
We are hitting the 45 minutes mark just nice.
Well, this is a
we
good
have one more-
question.
Yeah, okay. We have one more question coming in. Shall we take this as the last question? Right, all right. How do you conduct market survey? Or where do you get reliable market survey data?
You pay someone to do it. Right.
Pay
Kanta.
Kanta.
Would you like
pay
that?
Kanta. Yes, please.
Or
Yes,
ADA also, you can pay ADA also.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe I will just start. I mean, market survey is something that's important. I think the three of you here agree with me as you helm the marketing department. We in Kantar, we also face the same challenges as what you guys have shared, and in all industry as well. So how do we help? Like what Stephanie mentioned just now. Oh, we need to understand consumer, but we don't know where. So not to hard sell a bit, but what we did was quickly we understand that there's this need from the market. So we actually created an agile offering. We call it an agile offering, where we allow the potential client to come to our website and to customize the research program or the survey program at a smaller size scale as compared to the traditional ones that we used to do. Because at this age and time now, we understand that that's the needs of the brands out there, like what Stephanie has mentioned. So yeah, so how do we conduct it is at the moment right now, we also need to innovate. We also need to be agile. We used to do a lot of face-to-face, but we know that because of COVID, there's no way that we can face-to-face. So what we did was we managed to move face-to-face to online. So I think we are one of the first few to quickly move that, and we have very good reviews from our clients because of that. Because nobody would imagine a in-depth interview can be conducted via online and stuff. Of course, we all know that digitization, everyone, is now hooked to not just hooked to it. We have to live with it because of COVID and stuff. So we move a lot of our work online as well. Though there are challenges, I must say, but it's the agility that you need to like trial and error to solve the thing, solve all those teething issues and stuff very quickly, so that you can at the same time still meet the clients what they need in terms of market research or market survey.
Yeah, I just gonna add on to that. I think market surveys are great and it works, for brands in different ways. I also would like to also mention that don't forget your customers are already telling you information about your brand and what you stand for and what's working, what's not working around you. So you don't really need to go and run a survey, tomorrow. But if you look around, either data internally or externally, I think it's going to give you some sense. The market research data, with Kanta that does, that's good as a sense check in terms of where my brand is doing, the health of my brand, my brand health indexes. I think that's great. Moving to digital is one of the things that I've been pushing my team, and because I'm saying that gone are the days where you think about phoning someone up and asking 15 different questions. How can we do it in a more effective way, and how can we do it more often so that we get a tap off about our brand. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we hit March, April, we actually ran a survey across 6 countries to think about the happiness index. How are people feeling during this point? And we have something called the job report that we released. And it talks about, how I felt before and how I'm feeling and what I kind of anticipate. But all of this was really data that was around us. We didn't have to go and, run many different surveys. We just had to look under our hood, what do we have, poll the audiences and kind of put that together. And I think, teams in most organizations, data scientists, are coming together. Artificial intelligence is going to give us more data. But don't go too far. I think people are already telling us about our brand in many different shapes and forms. So it'd be good to also look around.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add, I think that's a very good point. A lot of brands have your own data, but where a lot of our customers struggle with is, what about my competitors? What do I know about their customers? And there are increasingly providers who have this intelligence. I'll just talk about one of our offerings. So we have something called a location planner. So it's for retail stores. And using the what we call the ID for advertising in a consumer's mobile phone, we're able to see what type of consumers are going into your competitors' stores. What are their behaviors? What sort of digital apps do they use? When are they going into your competitors' stores? And when are they going into your stores? Which of your stores are performing better, for what reasons and why? So increasingly, there are tools out there that can tell you not just about your own consumers, but your competitors' consumers. So yeah, keep an open mind. There's a lot of stuff out there that you could make use of.
And yeah, I think we have overrun. I'm sorry, Star Media. Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing in today's session, Ramesh, Eugene, as well as Stephanie. And I'm sure whoever that tuned in this session has a lot to learn from as well. And with that, we will say thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks. Sorry to the bank people.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you have enjoyed the panel discussion as much as we did. I definitely did. I was in the background planning, planning how I'm going to get my MACD while looking for a new job on Job Street, and then, thinking about data analysis. So that was what I was doing behind backstage. But what you guys were doing was that you guys were listening and you guys sent really, really good questions. That's really amazing. So thank you. I want to thank everyone in the panel once again. Ellen, Stephanie, Eugene, Ramesh, was such a great and insightful discussion. It was most definitely a great honor for all of us here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying until the end. As I've mentioned earlier, we are giving away 4 exciting prizes each day. All you need to do is complete a short survey that will auto-pop as you exit WebEx. Your feedback means a lot to us as we continue in providing a great experience for you for future current and future events. And we'll be announcing today's winners at tomorrow's program, so do stay tuned. So day 3 is a wrap, but we have one more exciting session tomorrow. The CXO 2020 program is designed to spark conversations on the key areas in driving disruptive innovation in the age of disruption. Tomorrow we will be back at the core, talking about sustainability in the age of disruption, anchored by our knowledge partner PwC. Learn more about balancing the acceleration of disruptive innovation with continuous creation of sustainable future for all solutions. There will also be a special presentation by Proton, followed with a panel discussion where a panel of sustainability leaders will discuss and share insights on extending business lifespan and finding opportunities amidst the speed of industrial revolution. We are all very excited for what's going to be happening. Hopefully I am, hopefully you are as well. But if you want to learn more about the conference program of CXO 2020 and also the profile of our speakers, or if you have not signed up for the final session tomorrow, you may scan the QR code that is on your screen or visit bit.ly/STARCXO2020 or email us at events@thestar.com.my. Please also share this with your colleagues and your friends. I'm signing out, but this page will remain live in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And remember to complete the short survey as you exit WebEx and stand a chance to win one of our 4 exciting prizes. Thank you and see you again tomorrow morning at 10.
Welcome to vibrant Malaysia. Strategically located in the heart of Asia with links to all parts of the world. Headed by a constitutional monarch. Governed by parliamentary democracy, where general elections are held every 5 years. The country enjoys decades of stability with the benefits of a broad-based economy powered by the private sector and a pro-business government. It's always summer in Malaysia, a country blessed with abundant natural resources and more. While rapidly developing, we continue to preserve our land, environment, heritage and values. They are all here in Malaysia, a country of many colors, races and cultures. Selamat datang. Welcome to Malaysia. Malaysia has transformed from a country dependent on agriculture and primary commodities to an export-driven economy, spurred by high technology, knowledge-based and capital-intensive industries toward a high-income nation. Many international corporations have made Malaysia their highly competitive offshore base. To date, more than 5,000 international companies from over 80 countries have established their regional and global operations in Malaysia. Companies in the manufacturing and services sectors continue to expand and diversify their operations. The combination of a stable political environment and a government that is responsive to private sector needs and supports and facilitates business. Malaysia's developed infrastructure has provided the requisite competitiveness to the business community. The Kuala Lumpur International Airports provide excellent facilities. the airports can accommodate up to 70 million passengers. And more than 12 million tons of cargo per year. In addition, 6 other international airports are strategically located to serve the regional needs. And the 7 major ports ensure the efficient movement of cargo, as well as facilitate international trade. The improved rail system and a network of expressways ensure easy access to and from airports, seaports, and urban centers. The government ensures that energy needs are adequately met, while broadcasting and telecommunications requirements are being served by the latest digital and fiber optics technology. For banking and financial services, local and foreign banks offer comprehensive and competitive packages. Million trainable and educated Malaysians support industry and trade, and annually about 250,000 young Malaysians enter the workforce. Many English language-based colleges, universities, technical and vocational institutions ensure the continuous supply of manpower needs. Malaysia's geographical location makes the country a strategic base for exports to the Asia-Pacific markets. Malaysia provides access to not only the ASEAN market, with a population of 600 million, but to a market of more than 3 billion people created by the various trading arrangements with the world's most vibrant nations. Living in Malaysia. But doing business in Malaysia is not all work. The country offers good living in the midst of a clean and green environment. Modern housing, international schools, healthcare of international standards. Add to that the warmth and hospitality of Malaysians. Things to do during leisure. Great food everywhere. Fun places to be. Make Malaysia a home away from home. Selamat datang. Welcome to Malaysia, your profit center in Asia.
Some people are calling this the new normal, but there's nothing normal about it. As the world's businesses begin to reopen, the question is, what can we learn from this? Perhaps today isn't a restart, it's a rethink. A time to take the things that are working and apply them to the new jobs that need to get done. Today, businesses are staying open in a world that feels closed. With the IBM Cloud, retailers can keep systems up as millions of orders move online. Data is being protected against new security risks. So at leading hospitals, private information can stay private, even while doctors are caring for patients from home. Businesses are being more responsive. With the help of scalable solutions on the IBM Cloud, financial advisors can process bank transfers remotely, securely. Today, supply chains are getting more intelligent, helping ship our produce, stock our stores, and fill our tables. Remote work is working smarter, with IBM Watson, helping employees stay more productive and making parents even more proud. Customers are getting answers faster. With Watson Assistant, wait times are being cut from hours down to minutes, and companies are managing millions of calls, texts, and chats. Today, we are speeding our research and our recovery with help from all the developers who are answering the call. Today, we are rethinking how business moves forward, how the world moves forward. So let's get to it. Let's put smart to work.
Certainty for where it's most vital. That's the promise of EcoStruxure Microdata Center from Schneider Electric. The support you need when there's no room for downtime.